Hill sponsors Joshua vs. Molina on Sky Sports Box Office.
I thought this was like a pay-per-view fight in like a year or something like that. This has like that, you know, the quality guys, caliber guys like that. Are you surprised that this happened, I guess, so early in both of their careers?
No, not really, because both guys are really good fighters. And they both, I guess, deserve to be at the top where they are right now. You know, you have to fight your way to the position. And they both did. And so this is where they're at.
Jermall said something about that he's the champion now, and I think he said something like he has to fight this undefeated nobody. Was there anything like to that, or was that just?
Well, I mean, that's just Jermall. You know, I mean, look, man, all fighters are confident in their abilities and what they can do, what they bring to the table, and he just feels he's the better guy, and I'm glad he feels that way. You know, because I don't have to. You know, do anything extra to, you know, try to motivate him. You know, he's highly motivated and he's ready to go.
Do you feel, how do you see the end of this fight go?
You know, I only look for the beginnings. I never look for the end. Because look, you know, if you go in and try to knock a guy out and you don't get it, then what's going to happen later in the later rounds or whatever? You know, look, I think I've got Jermall to the point to where he realized that you can go 12 rounds with anybody. It doesn't make a difference who it is. You know, you may get him out early, then you may not. You know, you have to be prepared. And the only way to do that is to train hard, follow the game plan, and let it take its course.
As you look at your competitor across the ring, what's something that you think that Julian Williams does well?
Well, I think Julian does a lot of things well. You know, he has a good jab. You know, he does the simple fundamentals of boxing, which is, I think, carries a lot of fighters a long way. You know, good jab, combination punching, stuff like that. You know, Jermall does the same thing. You know, it's going to be, I think, whoever has the biggest will to win this fight. You know, and look, I feel my guy, you know, has a huge will to win. You know, that's the way he trains, that's the way he eats, he sleeps, and everything is about him being the best that he could possibly be. You know, I don't put anything negative in his head, or you have to win, you have to win. You know, I wouldn't do that to any fighter, you know, because that's just not the way the sport is supposed to be. You know, you win some and you lose some, but don't get into a position, don't put yourself in a position where you feel it's a must, because that'll ruin a guy's career.
Since you feel that this fight is a battle of wills, do you foresee it being like a battle of attrition with a lot of short bursts of action, a sustained attack? How do you envision this fight will look?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, for us, it's going to be a sustained attack. You know, that's the way we plan on doing it. You know, but of course you have to make adjustments in there. So, but, you know, in training, we train to go toe-to-toe. That's what we have to do. You know, we want to beat them at every aspect of the game. And that's the way we train, to beat them at every aspect of the game.
We are familiar with Jermall as a champion, but what would you say is something that's underrated about him that fight fans don't realize?
He's really a very smart individual, you know, and outside of the ring and inside of the ring. You know, he's a very intelligent fighter. You know, he's so different than, I guess, what you might say in public. You know, he's just so different from that. You know, and maybe he just feels he has to have a certain persona in public. But I mean, really and truly though, he's a really quiet guy. He's not a guy that, you know, boasts about everything. But he's the kind of guy too that, you know, he grew up in an era where you don't just let anybody talk to you a certain way without you responding. And I don't mind that, you know, because, you know, he has to feel the confidence within himself in order to let people know how he really feels.
Richard, I have a question. Very seldom do we see two undefeated fighters in their prime. Perhaps they haven't even hit their prime yet. They're very young. They're undefeated fighters. Are we going to see a lot more of this in boxing?
Well, I think the fight fans, they really sort of like demand these kind of matchups. And I think over the past few years, there have been fights which were maybe not as evenly matched or not as compelling as a matchup. And the fight fans let us know that, hey, we're not okay with that. We want to see these kind of cards with Maris and Guellar and J-Rock and Charlo, evenly matched fights, 50-50 fights, where you really don't know who is going to win. So yes, I think you're going to see much more of that.
You know, a lot of fight critics have been saying that you're a great addition coming back with Ringstar Promotions. What else can you bring to the table?
Well, you know, what I've seen is maybe a little bit lack of promotion. I think we really need to bring the sport more to the masses again. We need to activate across the different platforms. I want to bring the pay-per-views into movie theaters again. I want to really do things right. And we need to keep the fighters in the public's eye, not just when they fight, but sort of like on a consistent basis, and try to develop marketing campaigns around the fighters to really make them more household names. And what we need as well is we need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. I've seen so many negative stories coming out of from other promoters, from media members. 2016 has been the worst year ever, and so on. So we need to believe in our product. We need to believe ourselves in our sport, and not go and let everybody else know how bad boxing is, or how boxing is dying, or how horrible year it was. We need to look at the glass half full and not half empty.
Now, this is a question for both of you guys. We have Cuellar defending his WBA featherweight title. We have Charlo defending his IBF junior middleweight title. This is the fight against two young guys. However, a lot of fight fans and a lot of fight critics, once again, are excited about the trainers going head-to-head. You know, you got Freddie Roach against Garcia, and now you have yourself against a young man in Stephen Edwards,
right,
a.k.a. Breadman. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's just let you know that, you know, that there's still a lot of good trainers in the sport. You know, you just don't see one guy anymore. You know, and at certain points, I guess, in boxing careers, that's what you're saying, one guy all the time. Now you see different guys. You know, because I think everybody, you know, a lot of trainers have just got down and learned the sport and just want to, have the best fighters out there themselves. You know, and I think other fighters are now trusting in other people instead of just the same guy all the time. So it works out for everybody.
And what makes your fighter so much better than J-Rock?
Well, you know, I just think, you know, I've been knowing Jermall since he was like 8 years old. So, you know, I have a good rapport with him, and I just know the kind of young man he really is. And I know what his will is. And when you know that, you know, I just don't see nobody beat him that way. You know, this guy has a will to win. And he does everything right, you know, and it's hard to say that about a young guy.
And is he struggling to make 154? Can we see him possibly at 160? Because he's a big guy.
He is a big guy, but you know, the thing about it is what I've learned and what he's learned. You know, with me watching, I've been in the sport for a very long time. I've been with so many other champions, and I've seen how they've done it. But Jermall has been around that also. And he knows that if you want to be a champion and you want to stay a champion, you have to do what it takes to be that. You have to eat the way you're supposed to do that. And this kid, you know, he's learned nutrition, and you know, he have a great nutritionist within the camp. You know, his conditioning coach, Danny Arnold. This guy, he went to college for this stuff, you know. And Jermall really believes in him, and he's seen the difference, you know, when he didn't have that to what he has right now. And so 154 pounds, look, he has to make it on Friday.
Right.
And then 164 on Saturday. That's not going to be a problem for him. You know, I mean, when, you know, people here are saying we're going up to 160. Of course we are. I mean, this is really more than likely his last fight at 154 pounds. But he's not going to, if I thought my guy was going to struggle to make that, he wouldn't be in this ring. I wouldn't let him, you know, because I realize it's too dangerous.
Right.
You know, I've seen guys get hurt behind doing the same thing. And I'm not going to take that chance with anybody that I train. And, and I explain these things to all of my fighters. If you're going to be the type of guy that don't do what you're supposed to do, you know what? You have to find somebody else that's going to really, just put up with what you want to, just what you want to do. But I'm concerned about his health. And if I didn't think he was healthy enough to make 154 and be able to go at 12 hard rounds, then Jermall Charlo wouldn't be in that ring.
I actually have a question. You said he was going to move up to 160. Obviously, the next question would be, are you guys looking at Triple G division?
I wouldn't let him come from this division and then all of a sudden just go straight for a world title.
Right.
That's very, that'll be irresponsible for our whole team to just right away just want to do that.
Well, if it were Billy Joe Saunders, would it be? Yeah.
Probably, I was just going to say that.
Maybe not, right? It might be okay.
Absolutely. If it was a guy like him, of course, because we feel we can beat him right now.
I hope Billy's watching this.
I hope he is too.
We're going to switch.
Glad you said it, not me. Truth be told, I would have said it too.
Everyone else reciprocated.
But it all depends on the fighter, on who you put him in. Because look, he's never fought that way before, so he don't know. There's a difference between the power, everything is so different. Because really, those guys are probably 180 pounders coming down to 160. Right now, you're fighting 165 to 170 pound fighters coming down to 154. So it's a big difference.